Hello everyone, welcome back to another one of our live stream. And let me tell you, I am already falling in love with live streams because I think this is my second live stream so far. And in the previous live stream, I really liked how there were viewers, there were a very healthy interaction, and I really had a good time. So like the previous session where we had a Q&A, and I did a book tag where I introduced myself and my channel, and we also had a live book review. Today also we're going to do something that is very similar to a Q&A, not necessarily a book tag. Today we're going to discuss some unpopular book opinions, just like what you saw in the thumbnail. No clickbait here. It's purely organic, and just like that we are going to discuss some bookish opinions, and we're going to discuss whether it is popular or unpopular, and I would give my opinions on it. Also, we are going to do a live book review as well, and this time it's not one book but two books. And let me show you what the books are. These are the two books that we'll be reviewing. I hope it is clear. So, the first one is The Twist of a Knife by Anthony Horowitz, and the second one is A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin. And it's different genres. Okay, one is mystery, one is rom-com. So I thought it would be good for any sort of fans. If you're a fan of thrillers, then you could definitely check out The Twist of a Knife. And if you're a fan of rom-coms, then definitely check out A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting. And I hope you will stay till the end, because we'll be doing the live reviews as a bonus. Till the end, we'll be starting off with discussing bookish opinions. So let's start. Let me just take up my questions. I had given a poll or sort of a question in my Instagram page long back, a few, maybe 2 or 3 weeks back, and I got some responses. And since then, I've been planning on doing this video, but unfortunately, the time was not right then. And now we are finally getting to do this as a live stream, because I thought it might take some time to discuss, and I would love to get your opinion as well, to make it sort of an interactive session. So since people are joining in, we'll start. Hello to everyone here. And if you're new here, you're a new viewer, then definitely check out my channel, especially if you love reading, because I have all sorts of recommendation for you. Doesn't matter if you're a fan of thrillers or rom-com or fantasy, I have every bit of every read for you. So definitely check out my channel and do consider subscribing if you're new here. So let's start our unpopular bookish opinions with the first opinion, that is, some classics are overrated. So that is the first opinion, and in my point of view, I feel that, okay, let me say this as from the perspective of a literature student. I had done my master's in English literature, and classics are very important in the sense that we have to learn classics. It's a must, it's a mandatory subject in our syllabus, and we are acquainted with a lot of classics. And personally, I love the classics by Jane Austen, followed by Charles Dickens, because it talks a lot about the society as well, and it also talks about the story. So, being that classics are important, it is a well read, something that I would prefer that people read once a while, to sort of get a taste of it. But is it mandatory? No, that's not something that I would support. That there are some stereotypical thinking out there that if you're someone who doesn't read a lot of classics, or if you're someone who doesn't like a lot of classics, then you're not qualified as a reader. That is not a point of view that I genuinely support. I just believe it comes down to taste. If someone likes to read classics, well and good. And if someone doesn't particularly enjoy classics, then it's purely their choice. And I don't think that makes them any less of a reader. So, are classics overrated? I don't think so, because I generally feel that classics are being underrated. If anything, we are not reading enough classics or anything. We're not reading classics enough to know whether we like it or not. So, yes, that's my opinion out there. And let's go for another. Okay. Audiobooks are just as valid as physical books. Okay, so this is a topic or opinion that I have been coming across a lot. And there are a lot of videos out there by different sort of content creators who sort of discuss whether audiobooks are actual reading. Should we consider audiobooks as actual reading? Because technically we're not really moving the pages, we're not, reading, we're listening. So does that qualify as reading, or does that qualify as a good book reading? And that's the question. And there's been a lot of opinions regarding it. And my personal opinion is that I do consider actual audiobooks as actual reading. I don't particularly read a lot of audiobooks. I don't particularly listen to a lot of audiobooks. And for me, the ranking is first physical book, then ebooks, then audiobooks. I don't particularly listen to a lot of audiobooks out there, but that doesn't mean I don't consider it as actual reading. I do consider it, because even if it is listening, just listening to a book, it is helping us with our imagination. Especially, I feel that it's very convenient, especially when we're traveling, because I get motion sickness when I travel in a car or any other vehicle. And at that point, I can't read any book because I get motion sickness. So at that time, if I really want to enjoy a book, if I'm getting bored and if I want to read a book, then I tap into audiobooks, because then we just have to listen in, and we could use our imagination to create the world and everything. And it's very convenient. And for the modern era, it's something that gives us another option, because ebooks are already getting popular. So why not audiobooks? That's my opinion. So the question, the opinion was that audiobooks are just as valid as physical books, and I do agree. I do agree. And the third opinion is that book series doesn't have to be read in order. So this is an opinion that I feel that I have to agree to disagree, because there are two cases. Let's say the book series are in order where there's a story and it is a continuation. Okay, something like Harry Potter, Harry Potter series. And I feel that if that is the case, if the series are in such a way that the story is continuing from book 1 to maybe, let's say, book 5, then reading it out of order is not going to be that good. Because I had experience. I forgot the series. But I think it was a 5 or 6 book series. And I read the first book and I was very much in love with the story. I liked it. And the story ends in a cliffhanger. So naturally, I went to get the other book. And book 2 was not there. I took it from the library. So book 2 was not there. So I immediately went and grabbed book 3. So I thought it would be okay, because I know the story, I know the characters. I could sort of skip over the second book. That's what I thought. But turns out book 3 was something different, because a lot of characters that I saw in book 1 were not at all present in book 3. And apparently, a lot of events happen in book 2, that the story is completely different when it comes to the third or fourth book. And I was very much, I was disappointed and I was very much surprised. So that was my experience when it comes to a story that is continuing from book 1 to book maybe the last book. I feel that you have to read in order when it comes to series like that. And there are also another case where, let's see, I love reading thrillers. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example from books like James Patterson or David Baldacci. See, they also write series, but it could also be read as a standalone, because in those series it's a thriller. The main character would be a detective, obviously, and the books in that series would be separate story. Each book would be dealing with each case that the main character would be investigating. So when it comes to situations like that, when it comes to series like that, you could read it as a standalone. It's not necessary for you to read it in order, because even then the story makes sense, only the main character remains the same. The plot and the other characters keep on changing. So when it comes to book series like that, I feel like it's not necessary to read it in order. You can still, be able to make sense. So I feel that there are two categories like that out there. So book series don't have to be read in order. It depends on whether the series could be read as a standalone or not. That's my opinion. So tell me what you want, or what is your opinion out there. A lot of people have joined in. They are all saying hi, and hi to you back. And I'm really happy to host all of you in this live stream. And tell me your opinion. Which do you actually read more, book series or standalone books? Because I read a lot of standalone. I prefer a lot of standalone to series. Apparently, that's what I have felt like after reading a lot of books. So, what do you prefer, series or standalone? Let me know in the comments right now, okay? And with that, we are moving on to our next opinion, which is some books are better in small doses. Okay, I feel that this opinion is based on the reading speed, maybe, because for again coming back to thrillers, because I love thrillers, I read a lot of thrillers. I guess when it comes to thrillers, especially if the suspense is that good, if it is a fast-paced narrative like Agatha Christie or James Patterson himself, I feel like the pace is good, and the story keeps on moving very fast. There is one or two plot twists in every chapter, and if that is the case, then I feel that you get the tendency to finish the book in one setting, right? But it also depends. That may not be the case with other books. Let's say for me personally, I read thrillers a lot. Like I said, like I've been saying over and over again, I read thrillers a lot, and especially when it comes to books by Agatha Christie and James Patterson, I tend to read it in one sitting or in a day or two, because the suspense is that good. It's very fast paced, very short chapters. So, you get the feeling of being involved in the stories too much that you have to know the end. You already have this list of suspects with you. You have to know who is the real culprit, and that suspense sort of helps you to devour it in one sitting. But personally, when it comes to maybe fantasies or rom-coms, I feel like I tend to take a lot more time with it, because I need more time with my imagination. Because fantasies in particular, there's a lot of world building, right? Like Harry Potter series, let's take for example, or the Chronicles of Narnia. All of that deals with a lot of world building, where there's a lot more details, and it's a different world, different characters, a lot of magical powers and everything. So you need a bit more time, bit more imagination to sort of build it all up in your head, so that you could be involved in the story. And I feel that, yes, that's the reason why some books tend to be good, fast paced books, while in other cases, you tend to take a little more time to sort of imagine it, to sort of be involved in it. So the opinion was that s- some books are better in small doses. This is something that I totally agree upon. And again, it depends on the book and the plot and everything, whether you want to read it in one sitting or not. So let's see. Yes, we have only four more questions to go. I think I forgot to say this as my intro. Only 7 opinions that we'll be discussing in this video, and we already tackled 3 of them. So do let me know if you are enjoying this live stream so far. No, no, just like this video and maybe just give me a heart in the comments. It would mean a lot. And we are moving to another opinion, that is, some books are better in. Sorry, that's the opinion that we already discussed. Okay, only three more. Okay, reading doesn't have to be a solo activity. Yes, I guess this is also an opinion that I would say it depends, because I feel that I thought reading was a solo activity, especially till I came to Bookstagram, till I had my Bookstagram and I came to BookTube community as well. I felt that reading was a solo activity or something that is to be enjoyed as a solo activity. And it was after that I came to Bookstagram and Booktube particularly that I had this huge community around me. Otherwise, it was just one or two friends that genuinely liked a lot of books, that they genuinely liked the reading and the actual discussion around that books. So I had a very small circle in that sense. And it was after coming to this Bookstagram initially that I got to meet this huge community where it's everything bookish, a lot of people loving to read and review books, and also coming up with these amazing reading challenges and book club picks and everything. So yes, that is something that I experienced quite recently, and that's also the reason why I came to booktube as well, because this community that I found very healthy, very lovable, and that's how I came to this community, and my opinion changed as well. I went from reading as a solo activity to reading could be a very you know community based activity. So my opinion definitely changed from my point of view. And I guess it also depends on what kind of a person you are, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in between, and whether you want to experience that sort of a community building or not. But personally, I do feel that reading could be a solo activity, but it could also be a community based activity where we are just sitting around with a book, we are reading it, we are sharing our own opinions around it and having a very healthy and fun discussion around it, just like what I'm doing right now. So that's my opinion. And two more to go. Book clubs can be overhyped. Okay, this is an opinion that once again I come across quite a few times. So I feel that books clubs are a great way to find more friends, like I said, like minded people who love to read and who love to discuss books. And while that being said, we do a lot of reading challenges, a lot of bookish bingos and everything. And is it overhyped? That's something that personally I have not felt till now. I had seen such content in, Instagram and YouTube. And personally, so far, I have not felt like that. I have not felt that book clubs are hyped, or if anything overhyped. Yes, there are discussions around whether book clubs are good, whether book clubs really help you to read or not. And I feel like personally I had such a good experience with a book club. I still do. I'm still a part of a book club, online book club. And the best part was that I got to meet a lot of people. I got to interact with a lot of reviewers. And the main reason for joining the book club was to sort of expand my reading, because it was through book club that I got to read a lot of rom-coms, and I got to know the popular books out there, and even a lot of underrated ones as well. So we have this book club reading sessions where we pick one or two book, and we create a group chat and we read together, and every once a week we come together to discuss the point that we read till then, no spoilers. And that is something that I particularly enjoy even now. And that is the main reason for me why I joined the book club, to sort of explore more options, to sort of read more journals and read more authors. And so far, I have not felt that book clubs are overhyped. So this opinion I am agreeing to disagree upon. But then again, if you have ever felt that book clubs are being overhyped, let me know in the comments. Okay, let's make it a more interactive session. And we have come to the last and final opinion. It's okay to abandon a book. So basically, this is also something that I have come across where the opinion is that if you're a reader, especially if you're a book reviewer, then you should not DNF a book at all. And that is something that I don't particularly support. I don't particularly encourage because I myself have not finished a few books out there. I do believe in trying to read as much as I can, even if it is a book that I didn't particularly enjoy. I will try to give it a chance, but unfortunately I have ended up not finishing a few books here and there, and the main reason for me personally was that either it was too lengthy, and the reason is that there's a lot of words out there that doesn't necessarily contribute to the plot. Let's say, I think there was this thriller that I got from the library, and it was a big book, but that did not really really made a difference to me, because I thought this is a thriller. I love thrillers, so you know, the action, the suspense, that would help me finish this book. But what happened was that there was a lot of words, there was a lot of detail in the initial chapters that I never got to know what the mystery was until I was maybe 10 chapters in. And that was not something that I particularly enjoyed, because I would love to get to know what the mystery is and what the main character is going to do with the mystery. Perhaps by the fifth chapter or something. If the least is fifth chapter. And for this particular book, there was a lot of details about the main characters and a lot of prelude. And that is something that I didn't particularly enjoy. We never really got to see what the mystery is. And that really made me not finish this book. So, yes, that's the reason why I did not finish one book. The last, I think, the recent book, I forgot the title, but recently I think I barely finished that book because it was a very cliche. I think it was a rom com, and it was very cliche because we all know how a typical rom com works, and it was just like that structure. Nothing that is new, nothing that is unique, and so that really made me disappointed in that book because the plot was very good. So, yes, that's the reason. I barely finished it. I think it took a lot more time. I did finish it, but I think I took it a lot more time. So, it's completely okay if you are not feel, you know, involved in a book, if you don't feel resonated with a book. And it's okay to not finish it. And that doesn't make you any less of a reader. It just helps you find your taste in reading. That's what I feel. And yes, it's a very subjective opinion out there. That's what I feel. So let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Because with that, we have come to the end of our unpopular bookish opinion discussion. I hope you liked it. We have discussed altogether 7 opinions, and all the answers that I have given is completely personalized and subjective. So I would love to get your opinion as well. And with that, we are moving on to our live book reviews, starting with The Twist of a Knife by Anthony Horowitz. And let me just pull up my review. Okay, so this particular book was published in 2022. Okay, and what I loved about this book was that this was a part of a series called the Anthony, oh, I forgot, Hothrow and Horowitz series. Okay, this is the fourth book of that installment, and basically, Horowitz is the author, and Hothrow is a detective, and they come together to investigate cases. That's the series about. I think you could read it as a standalone as well, because this is apparently the fourth book of the series, and I did not feel any dissociation, I did not feel any confusion. So you could read the series as a standalone as well. And this particular book is about, like I said, Horowitz coming in as a character itself. And that is something that you don't particularly see a lot in a lot of books, where the author himself becomes a character and gets involved with the plot. So the story is that apparently it's very written from a first point of person point of view, and Horowitz and Hothrow come together once again, and Hothrow wants to do another book, another investigation case. But Horowitz is not a particular fan of it. He doesn't want to do one, mainly because he has a play being launched in London. It's called Mind Game, and it's a play that he has written way back, and he wants to launch it now on stage in London. And that is the reason why he doesn't want to work with Hothrow anymore. So that is the start of the book. And later, the play happens, and in the evening, there is a horrible review by a critic called Harriet Throsby, and she is known for writing, horrible reviews. She's such a very hard to please critic, and she writes a very bad review, a very painful review of the Mind Game. But the plot sort of takes a turn when the next morning, the same critic, um, Throsby, she is found dead and stabbed to death. And the irony is that the knife that is used to kill her belongs to Horowitz. So naturally, Horowitz is arrested and charged with murder, and he knows he is innocent. He has nothing to do with it. But then again, how did his knife get, into the apartment of the critic? How did his knife was found being stabbed into the critic, especially after she has written, the bad review of his play? So that's why how Horowitz becomes a suspect in his own thriller, and he is rushing against time to prove his innocence. And who comes to save him is none other than Hothrow, and both of them work together. And we'll get to see if Horowitz is really innocent or whether he had some sort of rivalry with Throsby or not. I'm trying to not spoil any sort of major plot twist for you, because I really want you to read it. And let's talk about some points that really worked well in the book. And the first one would be the metafictional element. And when I talk about metafictional, I am talking about the self insertion. I talked about how Horowitz have been, or Horowitz insert himself as a character in this book. And that is not something that you usually see in a lot of books. But then again, it sort of gives this metafictional element to the book, which I think particularly personally, I enjoyed, and I believe that a lot of thriller fans out there would also enjoy. And then we have a theatrical backdrop because, like I said, it's set in London theater, and we see a lot of background details that when it comes to a play or a theater setting. We see a lot of background rivalries, we see actors being insecure, and we also see a lot about how a play operates, how a play happens in a theater. So I feel like Horowitz brings in his personal experience as a playwright to this book to sort of give us a backdrop, and I personally enjoyed it a lot. Another thing is the puzzle box of the entire book, because there's a lot of plot twists, lot of red herrings, and a lot of list of suspects, and we even think twice about Horowitz's intentions as well. Is he as innocent as he claims to be? That's the question that you usually will think up, while reading this book. So it's something that is called the puzzle box, and this entire book is a puzzle box because it keeps you guessing till the end. And another thing that I particularly enjoyed is also Hot because he is a good detective. I'm not saying he's on par with Poirot or anything like that, but as far as detective goes, he has a good instinct, he has a lot of skill set, and Even though this is the fourth book of the series, we still don't know much about, Hotro as a person. He continues to be a mystery. There's a lot of question marks, especially regarding his past. That sort of makes us wonder who he is really. And again, that adds to the mystery because we already have a murder and a series of events that follows it, and added in the mysterious past of the person who is investigating the case. That is something that I particularly enjoyed as well. Now, talking about some things that might not work for everyone, some things that I personally thought up while reading this book. Like I said, the metaphysical, element, the author being a character, while it may be something good or something appreciated by a lot of readers, there might be some people who may not particularly have a taste for this. Particularly if you're someone who has already read all these series and you reached the fourth book of the series, where again you're seeing the author as a character, maybe it may prove to be something that is repetitive, that you may not have a taste for that sort of book. So that is something you should keep in mind. And the pace is also something, I'm not saying it's a huge weak point, just saying it's a slow start, okay? The murder doesn't happen immediately like what we see in the books of James Patterson. It takes a bit of time. So initially there's a slow rate in pace. And also, I feel that we talk about a lot of characters who in turn becomes the suspect. I feel like they could have used a bit more depth when it comes to characters. I feel like some of the suspects could have mm, had more depth. That is just some of the things that I just ended up thinking while reading this book. And definitely, who do I recommend this to? Thrillers, thriller fans out there, this is your book. Definitely, if you haven't read anything by Anthony Horowitz yet, then definitely check out this book. It could be read as a standalone as well. No worry there. And even if you're someone who's not a fan of thriller but really wants to read it, then do check it out. Because even though it looks like a big book, don't be intimidated by the size. The font is very big, and also the spacing is very big. You are going to finish this maybe in one sitting or not, depends on how much you love success. Okay, and with that, we are moving on to my rom com fans, my rom com besties out there. This is the book for you. I'm telling you, this is not a clickbait because if you're a fan of Bridgerton, if you like James or Jane Austen's classics, then this is the book for you because this was the perfect blend of Jane Austen's, let's say, Pride and Prejudice with a Bridgerton style, let's say, Regency era plot. And I really love this book. I just brought this just because I love the blurb. I read the blurb, I really like the story, and that's the main reason why I bought it, nothing else. But turns out I really enjoyed it. So this one is also published in 2022, and this is A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin. And the story is set in the Regency era. Just imagine Bridgerton. Okay, that's the Regency era. And our heroine is Kitty Talbot. And she has a lot of sisters under her, and her parents are unfortunately deceased. So her father passes away, leaving them orphans, and they have a lot of debt as well. And this is Regency era. They don't have any work, and it is difficult for them to get any work because of their family status. So Kitty has to marry rich. She has to marry a wealthy, let's say, family to in order to sort of settle the debt and to settle down her sisters as well. So that is her intentions, that's her mission. So she goes to London, and she stays with her sister and a friend of her mother's in London to sort of try her luck in the season. And she meets, I think the name is, she meets Archie de Lacy, and he is very suitably rich, a good match. She's not necessarily looking for a love match, okay? She just wants someone from a wealthy family who is a very good, let's say, someone good to her, and she meets Archie, and he ticks all the boxes, and she thinks this is a perfect match, and he's already in love with her. And that is when the plot twist happens, and Archie's brother Lord Radcliffe comes to the scene, because Archie's mother is already suspicious of Kitty, because Kitty has given a lot of story, completely different story regarding her family and everything. So Archie's mother is concerned whether Kitty is there for the money and not for love. So in comes the big brother, Lord Radcliffe, who is definitely not in favor of this match. He wants to break them off. And then we see the rivalry between Kitty Talbot and Lord Radcliffe, and that is something that was the main plot of the story, and I loved it very, very much, because it keeps on happening, this cat and mouse sort of chase, where Lord Radcliffe is trying to expose Kitty, and Kitty always outwit him once or twice with her very, you know s- smart and very planned decisions. And I really liked it, the enemies to lovers kind of trope. So, what works well for this book is the very relatable but non traditional heroine, because Kitty Talbot is not something that you usually see in, in a heroine from Regency era. She is more like Elizabeth Bennet combined with maybe Kate Sharma. That is the uh, sort of the vibe that I'm getting. And there is even Kitty's sister, I forgot her name. She really reminded me a lot of Eloise Bridgerton, because both of them are, bookworms. That's why I keep saying that this is a Bridgerton vibe book. So Kitty, particularly, she's a very practical woman, and she has a mission, and she doesn't just sit somewhere and sort of waits for universe to favor her. She goes out. She is very smart. She knows her game plan and she executes it. So that's the kind of a woman she is, and especially in the starting of the book. And this is an enemies to lovers done right, because like I said, the cat and mouse chase between Lord Radcliffe and Kitty Talbot, it's very, very beautifully written, very witty banter all round. Especially you don't see a lot of that in Regency era, and especially I did not expect it from any other book other than Bridgerton. So I really love how the relationship just sort of goes from suspicion to mutual respect, and the tension, it's very slow burn. That's one of the reason I liked it. It's a very slow burn. They meet, they do not like each other obviously, and the bantering, and then some events happen where they started to understand each other better. And so it's a very good slow burn, and if you are someone who loves that kind of a trope, then this is the book for you. I also love how it is a very, sharp social commentary, because just like what you see in the books of Jane Austen, there is a commentary upon the society, particularly about women's position in the society. It's a Regency era that we're talking about, and how women are merely seen as, let's say, they are just there for marriage, or the people or the women who are coming from the lower section of the society, they are seen as gold diggers, just like how Archie's mother sees Kitty initially. How she just wants money and nothing else. She wants money, yes, but her intention behind that is also justifiable, especially if you're considering the era, okay, the context. Considering the context, you can't really, I guess, you can't really throw Kitty under the bus. So it has a lot of insight about a woman's position in a patriarchal society, especially in the Regency period. But there is also a very good pacing. You don't feel it's a dry or it's a very dragging sort of storytelling. It's a very decent world building as well. So, coming to things that might not work for everyone, it's a bit low on high drama. Okay, there is no dramatic scandal or no steamy scenes as we see in Bridgerton. So if you're someone who particularly enjoys that sort of things, then you are going to be a bit disappointed. But uh, you don't have to worry. The slow burn is going to make up for it. So this is something that I really enjoyed. But then again, it's a bit low on high drama, but I feel like you could do without it. And then I feel that Lord Radcliffe's character could have had more depth, because there's a lot of background to his character, a lot of things that he talks about his past, and I feel that that could have had more depth. And I feel like the plot is very cliche. It follows a formula. And for people who doesn't like that sort of cliche storytelling, maybe it could be a bit of a drag, but I really hope it's a good pace and it's a lot of bantering, so I hope that would make up for it. So these are just a bit of things that I felt like saying, things that came out to my mind while reading the book. And I feel that if you're someone who loves reading, Jane Austen, Julia Quinn, and Evie Dunmore, then this book is a very good pick for you, because this is Sophie Irwin's debut apparently. And for those of you who loves rom-coms, definitely check it out. For those of you who loves watching Bridgerton and is waiting for season 4 like me, then definitely check out this book in the meantime. And even if you're someone who is not really a fan of rom-com but really wants to try it out, why not try it out with a Regency romance? Okay, so that is the end of our session, because we have reviewed two of these book. And once again, this is mystery and this is rom-com. And we have also discussed unpopular bookish opinions that I really enjoyed. And if you want me to come up with more live streams like this, where we combine two or more topics, maybe do a Q&A session and then do a live book review, then definitely let me know in the comments. And thank you all for joining in the live session and for the interactive sections as well. And I'm hoping that we could continue this interaction in the comment section. And just tell me what you like to see more in this channel, whether you want more live streams or you want more long form videos. And just keep on supporting, and I'll see you next week. And hopefully, I'm also planning another live stream next week where I'll be talking about what I have read this week. And it's going to be a rom com edition. I'm going to be talking about a few rom com books that I've been reading this week. And hopefully, I'll also be able to do more content like maybe book hauls or reading challenges. Just let me know what you want to see in the comment section. And I'll see you soon. And if you are a new viewer, then please don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, then I'm really happy to see you again. Keep loving and keep supporting. Bye.